Scotty, I think this is kind of amazing because Kobe was not the most loved by his peers when he was a player, but it seems like this generation of stars loves him.
Yeah, well, you know, it's not about how you start, it's how you finish. And as Kobe went out the league, he kind of put his arms around a lot of players and gained a lot of relationship that was good for his career.
That's a good point, because when he was playing against you guys, yeah, he was not like that, correct?
No, he was tough, he was focused, and very antisocial. But some things changed in his life, and he changed as a player, and you know that comes with growth and maturity.
Yeah, plus we see him do the details, so we know what kind of level of instruction he's giving, right, Nick?
He's got it in there. And Rach, I'd add this. You know who I think is going to be that guy that Kobe is right now for this group? Steph Curry. Because he's not beloved by a lot of his contemporaries. A lot of guys coming up, they love Steph. They pattern their whole game after him. So what Kobe is in the moment, I think that's what Steph becomes 10 or 15 years from now.
I like that observation. Producer Danny, by the way, when he saw that clip, said more stars showed up for Kobe's camp than USA basketball, which, I mean, Producer Danny, come on, it's not nice. Welcome to the Jump.
True.
I'm Rachel Nichols, alongside our Warriors insider, Nick Friedel, six-time champion, Scottie Pippen. Coming up, we're going to talk about CJ McCollum. Is he adding fuel to the Nuggets-Blazers rivalry that started in last season's Western Conference semifinals? CJ would just never do that, would he? Would he? Stick around to hear about that. First, though, I want to share a small portion of my recent conversation with Joel Embiid. We'll air this chat in full when the Sixers season tips off right here on ESPN, October 23rd against the Celtics. But I wanted to give you guys a little sneak peek. In this exchange, we discuss Embiid's feelings on the roster changes that they had this offseason and his vision for how the Sixers offense should flow now with the team's new personnel. Take a listen. So it felt like the entire NBA changed this offseason. There isn't some big clear favorite for the title this year for the first time in a long time. But do you think you guys should be the favorite?
I think we should be up there. Obviously, we still got to prove ourselves. We lost a big piece in Jimmy. He did a lot of great things for us. But you know, we should be up there. I mean, on paper, we got a really good team. So now it's on us to go out there and actually prove it.
You got Josh Richardson. You did lose Jimmy Butler. You lost J.J. Redick. Jimmy Butler in particular, it seemed like you guys got pretty close by the end of the playoffs. What kind of loss is it for you personally, just not to have him around with you?
It was a big loss because me and him, we got to the point where we were really close. We're still close. We talk a lot, and that's my guy. That's my brother forever. I wish he was on the team because I feel like the relationship that I built with him could have gone a long way. Jimmy, you know, when it was the fourth quarter, we knew the ball was gonna be in either me or Jimmy's hand, and I knew that I could count on him too. This year, it kind of changes around. Now, other guys got to step up, and I got to do more.
Jimmy did take a lot of those clutch, game-winning type shots. Do you think you're the one who can do that this year?
Yes, I've been working on it all summer, so we're going to see how it goes.
How do you work on it? Do you have people screaming in your ear, the time running down, or anything like that? How do you create that pressure situation?
I mean, last year I struggled. Well, I didn't really struggle, but you know, most of my turnovers came from, you know, guys double teaming or me driving and them swiping at the ball, and you know, so this summer we basically worked a lot on situations with the shot clock running down, and you know, guys, you know, coming at me, and I got to find a way to get a shot off. Obviously, the game is way different than actually practice, so hopefully all my hard work is gonna pay off.
Thank you to Joel for always being so forthcoming. Wait till you see the rest of our conversation. There's a lot there, but I do want to get on this stuff because this was the most immediate thing to me, Scotty, because he's talking about the changes that just happened. They're going into training camp with new people. And here are the crunch time shooting numbers for the Sixers' three main offensive threats that are on this year's roster. So who do you think Philadelphia should be running this offense through when the game is on the line? Because Jimmy Butler's name is not on this list anymore.
Well, I mean, to me, the obvious name is Ben Simmons. I like his growth, I like his development, and I like the style of player that he is. Reminds me a lot of myself, a lot of Jason Kidd, but more so as to what Giannis has been able to do with the Milwaukee Bucks. A guy that's not intimidated, knowing that he's a poor foul shooter, but he just continues to keep the pressure on your defense night in and night out. And you're going to run out of fouls against these kind of guys, because if they don't give in, their foul shooting will get better because they will build that confidence over time. And I think that's what he have to do. And I like Embiid, and I like what he says as a player. I think he's a heck of a player and a very dominant player, but you can't allow Ben Simmons not to exist on the offensive end.
Yeah, that makes sense.
If you told me that Ben Simmons has developed a jump shot in the last few months, then I would say wholeheartedly he's your guy, because he has the confidence to dominate on the floor. He just hadn't proven it to hit consistently from the outside. But right now, guys, for me, it's Embiid. And the argument in this era of the league is you really can't work it through a big man down low. My argument back is we don't see a lot of big men who can do what he can do. And in this time where the Sixers are at, he is that guy you trust most with the ball when you need a bucket. You take Jimmy off the roster, you hope Tobias Harris maybe can turn into that guy over time. But right now, with the game on the line, I'm handing it to Embiid and I'm saying, go win us the game.
I just thought it was so interesting. You heard me ask him, well, how do you practice being clutch, right? Because as you always say, Scotty, it's very different when the stands are full. But I like that he was at least trying to work through that. I also thought it was super interesting in there that he said, I wish Jimmy was still on the team. Because remember, when Jimmy Butler was first traded there, it was not great between the two of them. There were a lot of questions. Joel made that comment about, gee, I don't like the spacing on the floor and all of that. And there were some reports of infighting between the two of them. And we saw by the time the playoffs rolled around, clearly that had all been squashed because they were in each other's ears all the time. They're laughing on the bench. They were encouraging each other. Those kinds of relationships, Scotty, where you can tell the guys really earned it with each other, right?
Yeah,
is it hard when they break up again?
They did, and we were able to see that bond come together. We saw it come there, and Jimmy Butler got sort of a bad rap for it, but it all came together. They weren't successful throughout the playoff with it, but they all found out what their identity was on their basketball team.
Yeah, and some of that might stick with them even though he's gone, right?
And Rach, when he answered your question and he said, Jimmy's my guy, I wish he was here, I thought to myself, well, does Embiid not have the voice internally that so many of us thought? Because so many people figure Embiid is the guy. He is the face of this franchise. So if Embiid wanted Jimmy back that much and he went to ownership and said, I want him back, how bad were things behind the scenes that Jimmy isn't back in Philly?
Well, I'm going to give you, since I'm good at my job, I asked that question, and I'll give you, we're going to show this a little bit later.
That's a tease. I like it.
No, I'll tell you because I don't want a misconception to be out there because your point is a really good one. I said, did you go to management and ask for him to stay? And he said, look, in the exit interview, which is where he said I thought it belonged, I said, I really like playing with him. I'd be really happy if he was here next year. He said he did not go to ownership and say, I'm lying down on the railroad track. You must have Jimmy Butler back. Because he said respectfully, he's like, he thinks Elton Brand does a really good job, and he wants Elton to be able to do his job without feeling like Joel's trying to do his job for him. So to me, he handled it the right way, right? That he said, hey, I love playing with this guy. I'd be happy if he's back. But he did not go to ownership. He did not go over Elton's head. He did not lay down and say, you have to keep him. And so therefore, I don't think it should be looked at that ownership didn't listen to him or Elton Brand didn't listen to him because he didn't quite make that kind of stand. I can kind of get why everybody involved did what they did.
They better hope Tobias Harris takes that step, though. When you invest that kind of money and you replace a player like Jimmy, you better hope that he can be the guy that his contract now says that he is.
Yep, absolutely. Interesting stuff. There will be more from Joel Embiid in a few weeks because we have that team against the Celtics to kick off the season. Asked him a little bit, too, about the bad blood between those teams, and he gave me a Joel Embiid answer, so that is a tease for you. I want to get to another little rivalry brewing. When training camp started this week, Nuggets head coach Mccollum decided to show his team film of the last time they were all together, and that was, of course, the Game 7 loss to the Blazers in the Western Conference semis. You may remember there was a lot of contention between the teams in that series, some language. You see the pictures, some players displaying some of their fingers to some of the other players. You know, it's important to show them that you've got five. Then the Blazers celebrating on the Nuggets floor, and yesterday, someone told CJ McCollum the Nuggets film sesh had included that celebration. Here's his reaction.
thought that was funny. You got to use whatever you can as motivation. I think that's a smart tool from Mike Malone. I would like to watch the celebration again too. So maybe I'll watch it tonight.
I mean, I love it. I love this from CJ. I love that he has this streak of little trash talk, and I love this rivalry. I think it's kind of interesting. Do you think that we got some brewing this season?
I'm all for any athlete being honest, Rach, and I'm with you as a journalist. I love when the pot gets stirred by the people in play, but if I'm CJ McCollum, calm down a little bit. I feel like the Blazers, they earned their way to be in the Western Conference Finals last year, but for them to replicate that this season in a loaded Western Conference against a team like Denver that's really trying to find their way with a young core, I feel like the Blazers peaked last year. I think this
You're sitting
team
next to one of the great Blazers.
I know it, but I just don't feel like Portland's going to be able to take another step the way they hope they can this season. And for CJ to lay down the gauntlet right now in October, let's see what happens in April and May.
I disagree. I think the Blazers, from what they've went through the last 3 years, it's about their experience. And they have two experienced guards. They can score the basketball. They can get to the foul line. They can slow the game down. They can speed it up. They have that versatility, and the other players are just huge pieces for them, because on the defensive end, that is where they're lacking. But the fact that they were able to pick up the free agent this year.
Hassan Whiteside came in this year.
Whiteside, who's going to give them some stability in the paint. I like what the Blazers have done. I don't think that they've overachieved. I've actually felt like they've underachieved because they've gotten swept in the finals the last couple of years.
Yep, yeah. I mean, look, getting swept early in the playoffs the last couple of years and making it to the conference finals was good. I think against Golden State, it's tough for a lot of teams. But look, Toronto managed it, so I get what you're saying.
Yep.
I don't know. I think they're going to be in the mix this year. You don't?
Scotty, I'm not putting my faith in Hassan Whiteside. That's the problem.
But he's only. I mean, look, until Nurkic comes back, right?
Okay.
So
but when you watch Miami the last couple of years and you see what happened, I love Damian Lillard. I love McCollum. After that, on that team, I'm just not sold on the rest of the roster. And they tried to tweak it so they would take that next step. I'd be really surprised if they did, though, this year.
Yeah, well, we will see. It was certainly a move that raised a lot of eyebrows, them bringing in Whiteside. Yeah. We'll see if Scotty's right. We'll see if you're right. And then eventually we will get Yusuf Nurkic back. I do want to revisit the diss track battle that has broken out between Shaq and Damian Lillard, because it's just fun to talk about. Shaq started this beef last week with an Instagram puppet video. We can't play you the actual music because of the copyright, but look, there's the puppet. And Dame fired back with his own diss track. Now, yesterday, here's the update. A gentleman named Dr. Michael Cromartie III posted on Twitter, "Somebody tell Dame Lillard me and Shaq are headed back to the studio as we speak." And Dame commented, "Don't do it." Scotty, are you like Dame? Do you want this to end, or do you want to see it keep going?
I want to see it keep going. It's a preseason. There's not a lot going on the basketball court. I need to hear them dropping those lyrics.
Bring it.
I do not care.
Dude.
I do not care. I started listening to a little bit of this and I was like, are you kidding me? Is this what we've come to on October 3rd? October 4th? I mean, come on now.
How is this possible that you don't care about this? You have one of the greatest players of all time in retirement coming out at a current great player.
Do you understand that you're speaking to somebody who is, at 12 years old in Orlando, Florida, memorized pretty much all of Shaq Diesel when the CD came out? So I knew all the songs.
So you want some more of that?
No, but I had enough.
He was traumatized, apparently, as a youth.
That's right.
What we're
Shaq and the Fushnikins early on. I mean, I had it down cold. I had enough, though. These guys are awesome. They don't need to go at each other. Let's just see what happens on the floor. I don't need anybody having bad beef in the league on rap tracks.
I think that the lyrics are better now. I'd like to revisit just a few. Here is Shaq. He said, "What's in your wallet? American Express or Visa? Talking like you, Bron. You ain't even Trevor Ariza." Which, I mean, I feel bad for Trevor Ariza, but also still very good. Dame, "It would be wise to move on, Aristotle, because this is a gimme. All the money in the world, but they trade you for a penny." Boom. There's good stuff.
That's crazy.
I'm just saying. All right, coming up, Steph Curry said that he expects to play another 6 seasons in the NBA. That got us wondering, who will fill that void? I'm already concerned, 6 years out. So will we see another player like Steph again? Keep it locked to The Jump.